You ever wake up one day and realize the life you thought was solid, unshakable, was quietly crumbling right beneath your feet? That's exactly what happened to me. I thought I had a happy marriage, a partner I could trust, and a family that was unbreakable. But looking back now, I see all the cracks I ignored. I'm 33 years old. My wife is 36, and we've been together for 12 years. We built a life, had 2 kids, and for the longest time, I believed we were strong. She was my best friend, the one I confided in, laughed with, argued with, and leaned on when life got heavy. I thought she did the same with me. But over the summer, things started to change. It began subtly, so subtle that I brushed it off at first. My wife had just been promoted at work. It was a big deal for her, something she'd worked hard for, and I was proud. She was taking on more responsibilities, running herself thin, and adjusting to the graveyard shift. Naturally, she was stressed. Naturally, she was exhausted. So when she came home irritable, when she snapped at me over little things, when she seemed distant, I didn't take it too personally. I told myself, she's tired, she's overwhelmed, she just needs support. I wanted to be that support. So I listened when she vented, held my tongue when she got moody, and kept the peace as much as I could. But the fights started creeping in. Not playful arguments, real harsh fights. And what confused me most was that she was usually the one to start them. She'd lash out over things that didn't make sense, turn small disagreements into full-blown wars. I chalked it up to stress, hormones, bad sleep. I told myself, don't take it personal, she'll come around. But something felt different. By October, I noticed she was putting way more effort into her appearance before going to work. And I don't mean the occasional nice outfit. I mean full makeup, new clothes, extra time in front of the mirror. It wasn't subtle. I noticed, but instead of questioning it, I convinced myself it was just part of her new role. Maybe she wanted to look more professional. Maybe she wanted to feel confident. That's what I told myself. Still, there was this gnawing feeling in my gut that I couldn't shake. We stopped talking like we used to. She used to tell me everything about her job, her coworkers, her bosses, the little daily dramas. Suddenly, nothing. Silence. At home, she was cold, withdrawn, and disinterested in anything I was doing. We were living under the same roof but felt miles apart. Nights became the worst. I'd sit there waiting for her, thinking we'd spend some time together, only for her to announce she was heading to work last minute. And when she was home, she'd sleep all day, barely saying 2 words to me. It was like I'd lost her, but she was still physically there. One night really sticks out. We had just come back from touring a school for her daughter. I was excited because I thought we'd spend the rest of the evening together. But out of nowhere, she dropped it on me that she had to work that night. No warning, no heads up, just, I'm going in. Something inside me snapped. I asked her why she didn't tell me earlier, and it spiraled into another argument. She rolled her eyes, called me overbearing, and tried to brush me off. That's when I asked the question I'd been too scared to ask until then. Is there someone else? The second the words left my mouth, she exploded. She called me crazy, ridiculous, accused me of being paranoid, insecure. She swore up and down that there was no one else, that I was imagining things, that my suspicions were insulting. But here's the thing, when someone is truly innocent, they usually reassure you. They calm you down. They try to rebuild trust. Her reaction? Pure rage. And it only deepened that gut feeling I'd been fighting for months. I remember lying in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, my mind spinning. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her. But everything in me screamed that something was wrong. The woman I loved, the woman I trusted, was slipping further and further away from me. And no matter what I did, I couldn't pull her back. I wish I could say I ignored it. I wish I could say I let it go. But that night, a seed was planted. A seed of doubt, suspicion, and fear. And that seed was about to grow into something much darker. Because as much as I tried to fight it, I couldn't escape the truth. I didn't know who my wife was anymore. And the more I tried to hold on, the more she pulled away. And deep down, I already knew the answer I didn't want to face. That night changed everything. I couldn't shake the way she reacted when I asked if there was someone else. Her anger didn't feel like innocence, it felt like deflection. And once that seed of doubt took root in my head, it consumed me. Days turned into restless nights. I'd lie awake listening for her car, wondering where she really was. Was she at work? Was she with someone else? I couldn't eat, I couldn't focus at work, and even when the kids were around, my mind was somewhere else entirely. I kept telling myself, you're being paranoid, don't sabotage your marriage, trust her. But then she'd pull away a little more, skip dinner, disappear into her phone, leave without telling me when she'd be back. Trust became impossible. I needed proof. One afternoon, after pacing the house for what felt like hours, I drove to an electronics store and bought an AirTag. I remember holding that tiny piece of tech in my hand, my heart pounding like I was committing a crime. In a way, I was. I hated myself for even thinking about spying on her, but the thought of living in the dark was worse. That night, while she showered, I slipped outside and taped it underneath her car. My hands were shaking, my chest felt tight, but when I got back inside, I acted normal. I kissed her goodnight. She had no idea. The next few days, I checked the location constantly. Every ping sent a shock of adrenaline through my body. Most of the time, it showed her at work, which made me feel guilty. See, I told myself, you're imagining things. She's where she says she is. But then came the night that confirmed everything. We'd argued earlier that evening, another one of those explosive fights where she accused me of being controlling. She stormed out saying she was going into work. I sat there staring at the door she'd slammed behind her, feeling completely helpless. Then I opened the app. My breath caught when I saw the little dot on the map. She wasn't at work. She wasn't even near it. She was across town, parked outside an apartment complex I'd never seen before. I just sat there, frozen, staring at that glowing dot like it was mocking me. Minutes passed, then hours. Midnight came and went. Her car didn't move. My wife wasn't at work. She was spending the night somewhere else. I can't describe the mix of emotions that hit me. Anger, heartbreak, disbelief, all crashing into me at once. I wanted to drive there, pound on the door and drag her out. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry, but I couldn't move. It felt like my entire body was paralyzed. By the time she finally came home the next morning, I was waiting in the living room. My eyes were bloodshot from being awake all night. She walked in casually, like nothing had happened, dropped her bag by the door and said, "Hey." I asked her where she'd been. She looked me straight in the eyes and said, "At work." Something inside me snapped. I pulled out my phone, showed her the map and said, "Really? Because your car spent the night at this apartment." The color drained from her face. For a moment she froze, and I knew she was guilty. Then came the excuses. First she said it was a mistake. Then she said she'd carpooled with a friend. Then she accused me of violating her privacy. But the lies unraveled fast and finally, she admitted it. She had been seeing a guy from her job, 12 years, 2 kids, and she threw it away for a coworker she barely knew. Her excuse? She wanted attention. That's what she told me, standing there in our living room while I felt my entire world collapse around me. He listens to me. He doesn't judge me. I can talk to him without feeling criticized. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Attention. That's why she betrayed her husband, her family, her kids. I yelled. She cried. I punched the wall so hard my knuckles bled. All I kept thinking was how much I'd given her. Every ounce of love, loyalty, and sacrifice. And this was how she repaid me. The rest of that day was a blur. The kids were at school, thank God, but the house felt like a war zone. She tried to explain herself, tried to justify what she'd done, but nothing made sense. There was no justification. I remember walking into our bedroom, seeing our wedding photo on the dresser, and feeling physically sick. I picked it up, stared at the smiles on our faces, the promises we'd made, and I wanted to smash it into 1,000 pieces. That man in the photo would have taken a bullet for her. He trusted her with everything, and she was capable of sneaking off to another man's apartment like it meant nothing. That night, I slept on the couch, or at least I tried to. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her with him. Every laugh, every touch, every moment she spent that should have been with me but wasn't. And the worst part, the betrayal wasn't just physical. It was the lying, the gaslighting, making me feel crazy when I asked questions, when deep down I'd been right all along. The next morning, she came to me with tears in her eyes. She swore it was a mistake. She said she didn't mean for it to happen. She begged me to forgive her, to go to therapy, to try again. But even as she said it, I saw the truth in her eyes. The bond we once had was gone, and I didn't know if I could ever get it back. That's when I realized my marriage was standing on the edge of a cliff, and one way or another, it was about to fall. I wish I could tell you that catching her was the end, that once the truth came out, I walked away and saved myself from more pain. But it wasn't that simple. Love makes you do desperate things, and even after the betrayal, some part of me wanted to believe we could fix it. The morning after she confessed, she came to me in tears. Her face was swollen from crying, her voice shaking as she begged me not to give up on us. She promised she'd end it with him. She promised she'd go to therapy, work on herself, work on us. She said the kids needed their parents together, that our family was worth saving, and the crazy thing is, I believed her. Or maybe I just wanted to. So we started therapy. Sitting in that therapist's office, pouring my heart out, was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I talked about the sleepless nights, the panic that kept me pacing the floor, the way I felt invisible in my own marriage. I admitted how much her betrayal shattered me, how I couldn't even look at her without imagining the other man. She cried too. She said she felt lonely. She said she didn't know how to ask for help without feeling like a burden. She admitted that she liked the attention he gave her because it made her feel alive again. Hearing her say those words made me want to walk out right then and there, but I stayed. Week after week, we kept going back. I tried to give her every ounce of forgiveness I had left in me. I forced myself to listen, to empathize, to try and see her side. I poured my heart into late-night conversations, asking her what I could do differently, how I could make her feel valued again. But no matter what I gave, it wasn't enough, because even after the tears, the therapy sessions, the promises, I could feel it. She was still connected to him. There were nights she'd turn her phone face down on the table, times when she'd slip outside for air but take her phone with her, little changes in her schedule that didn't add up. I'd ask her directly if she was still talking to him, and she'd swear up and down she wasn't. But my gut told me otherwise, and after everything, how could I ever believe her again? That's the part no one talks about. Betrayal doesn't just break your heart, it rewires your brain. Suddenly, every unanswered text feels suspicious. Every late night at work feels like a lie. Even silence feels heavy. Living like that is torture. I remember one night lying awake on the couch, staring at the ceiling. She was asleep in the bedroom. The kids were in their rooms, dreaming peacefully. And there I was, feeling like a ghost in my own house. The life we built, the family we created, it was still standing, but it didn't feel like mine anymore. It felt like a memory I was being forced to relive, over and over. Months passed. The therapy sessions became routine. Our conversations turned into circles, and still I couldn't shake the feeling that he was there, in her mind, in her heart, somewhere in the background of every word she spoke. Finally, I broke. I asked her again point blank, "Are you still in contact with him?" This time she didn't deny it. She looked me dead in the eyes and admitted it. She had never really cut him off. I can't explain the kind of rage and devastation that washed over me in that moment. It wasn't just betrayal. It was betrayal on top of betrayal. It was months of therapy, promises, tears, all reduced to nothing. I felt like a fool for even trying. That was the day I knew it was over. I stopped fighting. I stopped begging. I stopped hoping. Because how do you rebuild trust with someone who keeps choosing someone else? How do you pour your heart into fixing something when the other person won't even put theirs on the table? Since then, life has been survival. The trauma doesn't just fade, it follows you. I still wake up at night with my chest tight, remembering the moment I caught her. I still hear her excuses echoing in my head. I still see that glowing dot on the map, proof that the woman I loved had given herself to someone else. But there's something else too, a strange kind of clarity. I realized I can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. I can't carry a marriage on my back while she keeps handing her heart to another man. And maybe the hardest truth of all, sometimes love isn't enough. The person I would have taken a bullet for, my wife, my partner, my best friend, was the one who held the gun to my chest. And that's a reality I'll never forget. So here I am, telling this story, not because I have all the answers, but because I don't. Because maybe someone out there has been through the same thing. Maybe someone knows if there's ever truly a way back from this kind of betrayal. For me, I don't think so. My marriage is over, my trust is gone, and I'm left with the pieces. What do you think? When someone cheats and keeps choosing the other person, do you think the relationship can ever really recover? Or is it already dead the moment they cross that line?